Welcome everybody. I'm now in one of the most Chinese neighborhoods around here in Guangzhou. This is like a typical residential building and unit is looking like. And I think this might be the secret to scaling ONVO big. Welcome everybody. I hope I've got your attention with that. And that's because I'm following now the 3-7-21 rule, and I'm going to explain in this video what I mean by that. So stick with that. It's gonna take some while to explain everything, but I'll make it valuable and as short and concise as possible. If you haven't watched my video yesterday, I've been to the ONVO store and given you a quick feedback on how I personally perceive NIO as a brand and as a product and car without driving it though. But I gave you my short feedback, which essentially was the car's very good and they didn't make any compromises. It's possibly a better product than the Model Y, at least in my opinion. And the question though remains for me, how can they scale it successfully, as they are an unknown brand? And I'm currently a little bit worried about the current approach of how well it could work with scaling it the way they are doing, building shops in the big malls like the one that I've visited yesterday, instead of building it here. Look, these are where the neighborhoods are, where the people are. These are the elderlies playing some mahjong in the background here. I'm walking through now a little bit more of the quiet part. In a second I will go to the high street and I explain you more about this 3-7-21 rule and why I think NIO should actually resort to guerrilla marketing tactics in order to grow ONVO. Because it doesn't help you if you've got the best product but it's presented in a bad way or not in a way that's grasping people's attention. And here I think NIO and ONVO can learn a lot from the best in class, which is Bytedance, so the TikTok maker here in China. And they've got a new product which is now scaling very, very quickly here in China, which is about, again, short films. It's one of the more classical series that are usually 60 minutes long or so on, and about these classical social dramas. And they're now being, sorry about the noise, it's gonna get more noisy when I get to the high street here. But anyways, they managed to cram those initially long movies into 2 minutes and keep people engaged. And they are enjoying a lot of growth currently. So it might be the next big thing after TikTok, who knows? But it's very, very difficult to compress a TV series that's usually very long and some I don't know how to explain it, but series that are usually living from lots of social connection, character building and so on, and you want to cram that into 2 minutes. It's very, very difficult of a task, right? But in this way they are facing a similar problem like all of the EV makers are facing here, which is very big competition. Just that the competition is about the competition for attention, because there's just so much time that is in the end limited. And if you want to have people consume your product, then you need to be very, very good at entertaining them. Now, long story short, what does it mean and how does it translate to the EV industry, and how do I think this makes the place that I'm currently showing here and the high street, which I'm going to enter in a second, the best spot to selling ONVO cars instead of the malls that I've been to yesterday? Well, first off, let's speak about this 3-7-21 rule. The first part of this rule 3 is you've got 3 seconds to get somebody's attention. And I've watched the NIO ONVO store, the ONVO store yesterday in the mall, and I sat there for an hour and people were strolling by the shop and they were not even looking into it. And it's just another EV car placed in a mall. There are many of them. It wasn't one of those malls that has many different cars lined up, so it was even standing out in this regard. But you need to be aware that there's people are almost tired of that, in being bombarded by EV cars, new brands and so on, and no one knows ONVO. That's the initial challenge that I mentioned before. So how do you get somebody's attention in this regard? And if you're not a Tesla, which is a global brand that's living by Elon Musk and so on, then it's quite difficult that people actually take a look at your product. And that's, again, where it comes to where the product can be as good as it is, if it's just not getting the attention that it's needed, or the first information that can be getting across to the potential consumer. So I think if ONVO were to sell somewhere like here, now I'm entering the high street, so in the background you see 4 lanes, then lots of shops actually all lined up here, and I'm gonna show you some of these shops are actually empty. Some of that might be just a natural fluctuation here, but some of them might even be around this whole real estate sector downturn. I don't know. The only thing is, these places are available in some parts, and I think most likely at a bargain. And you have a very good consumer traffic here, or foot traffic. I can show you in a second. You can notice like it's now getting louder and more busy here. There's lots of people actually walking by here on the pathways. You even have the scooter traffic here on those bike lanes or those side lanes, and then you also still have the normal traffic. So there's heaps of traffic going around here, and again, the real estate sector seems to be very, very preferential for a new brand like ONVO here to open on the cheap, because let me show you some. Here are some of these closed windows. All of that is available for lease and might be 10 times cheaper than the expensive mall that I've been to yesterday. And I think it would catch people by surprise if they would see a new brand, a new car brand, suddenly displaying cars here on that street, very close to these residential buildings where I initially started my walk, right? It doesn't mean that this is exactly where people would actually also, necessarily look for a car. However, this is just about following this 3-7-21 rule and grabbing people's attention. And by this type of guerrilla tactics, kind of doing something out of the box, something different to the playbook or different than others are doing it, in that way you can initially stand out and grab some people's attention. Like here, all of the grannies and grandpas walking around, as I said, they would be, looking, turning their heads, wondering what this new brand, this new car is all about. Is this a Chinese car? Is this an electric car? They would start keeping people asking questions and starting wondering what's happening here. Because frankly, all of these shops are more, traditional. These are some old restaurants, some, traditional medicine shops, telecoms, who knows, like the old stuff. It's not very exciting. So if there suddenly comes a new brand, that's giving a new vibe and something interesting to talk about and look at. And it would have the advantage that NIO or ONVO could build out many more stores more economically than going into these fancy malls where people are just passing by. And again, I'm just showing you a little bit of this foot traffic here. Maybe you don't see it right now because I'm using the front camera and I cannot zoom in, but I mean, there's lots and lots of people strolling by here. It's again midday. Yesterday I was also at midday at the mall, which is usually not such a very busy day or time of the day during the week on a Wednesday. But here there's already today quite a good traffic, as you can see here in the background. And you would certainly get some impressions here just building out a shop here. So that would be the first hook of getting the attention. And before I go and sorry for the noise, as I said, it's going to be a bit louder here than by the rest of the residential buildings. But before I explain you the rest of the 3721 rules, let me also give you another idea how ONVO could actually start with a hook for selling cars. One very crucial piece of information that I think was missing was about the pricing. By the way, here once again, this is empty. This could easily be a NIO ONVO store. I know this is maybe not how you'd imagine a new brand to start at, but I think some guerrilla marketing, some different thinking is definitely needed. And as I mentioned yesterday, 3 to 4 stores in Guangzhou, that's not a lot. And if you just go to these expensive malls and you don't catch people's attention, it's wasted money. So I would think of something else. Now, a second way of grabbing attention about price. There was no information in front of the NIO store about what's, a big sign, like how much does this car cost? And I think sometimes Tesla is doing that. I'm not sure if they're doing it every time. However, Tesla sometimes have the price discounts in front of the stores, and that's luring in people additionally to already being a known brand, right? Why isn't ONVO, that is not competing in this premium to luxury league anymore, so shouldn't be too concerned about the brand perception and image, not willing to put its very preferential and good price out there and put it like as the first thing that you see. Again, here, another potential ONVO store. Here, Shuzhou, we're leasing it, free for use. I think these places might be very inexpensive to have and very low risk. Now, ONVO beating the Model Y on the price, especially with BAS, why do they not put this information first? If you're just strolling in a mall and you see this other car brand, this new car brand that I've never seen before, you don't even know. I mean, the ONVO car, frankly, doesn't look like a cheap car even from outside, right? So people have no idea. They might think, oh, this car is definitely out of my league. So if they would put the BAS price there, then maybe some more people would say, oh wow, this is actually quite inexpensive or affordable. I want to take a look and see more. I want to learn about this product, what's going on there. And that's not happening currently. I didn't see a price tag there. I really actually had to, ask the sales representative and so on to show me the prices and stuff. So, I mean, ONVO could be much more aggressive here than NIO, and I understand why NIO is not following such path, but from ONVO I'm really expecting something different. So that would be another way of following the 3721 rule. But now I continue to explain the rest of that and this secret or this ingredient, secret sauce, how to make the marketing better. So the first was about 3 seconds to grab the attention. The second one is about 7 seconds to introduce a broad idea about what it's all about. So in a TV series, it's something different, definitely different. It's more about content. But here with a car, what comes to my mind is definitely it should be about battery swapping, right? Hey, we're ONVO, we're different. We're about battery swapping. Did you know you can swap the battery of the car? To be honest, there was not such thing that was springing to my mind when I entered the NIO store. And I think that's a missed opportunity because again, you only see that car. Most people may not even be super familiar about electric cars, but certainly they're not familiar about battery swapping. And many people also in the comment section yesterday to my video agreed that battery swapping is kind of the differentiator and the reason why ONVO should be selling well and scale. But I think that's not a no-brainer. It's not happening from by its own, but they actually need to put in the work. What I actually did like is that within the car they had on the display a presentation which you could swipe through. So battery swapping was part of that, as long as other key benefits of the car and so on. And there was a TV a display in the showroom that also talked about the 3 minutes for battery swapping and so on. But I think it's just not highlighted enough, right? In this short attention span type of environment which we are, especially in China, it's not easy to get people engaged. And again, this is where they need to apply such a 3-7-21 rule and learn from the best, like Bytedance. And so this is just my idea why they should go different paths. So in the 7 seconds rule, I think they should definitely start introducing or ask a question like a hook about, did you know you can swap the battery of your car? And this is gonna have XYZ benefits. And with that, they might get further engagement and interest, because people would actually like to learn about that. And then the last part of the rule, the 21 rule, is basically, keep people engaged and have something very thorough to explain about the whole idea. And, basically keep making people buy into that and offer more information and more interesting key points. Now, this is obviously where there's lots to talk about. For example, the fact that the NIO ONVO brand is very good on the manufacturing quality side as well, the efficiency of the car, the whole thing about how well the suspension works and so on. There's lots of things to talk about to keep people engaged and willing to learn more about a brand, but they still need to get there with the first 3 and 7 part of the rules. Okay, now what I think could also be an interesting thing is to go just much bigger in an Elon Musk way. By the way, again, this is just a residential place just right next to the high street. So this is where all of the people are living and are coming from. Maybe some of them don't even have their own place to charge the car. Behind me there's a Seeker. So they do drive electric here. So you can see, despite the fact that these buildings maybe from its appearance look dated and so on, there is money here and people are just interested in buying the latest stuff and enjoy a good electric car. So I do think there are lots of potential buyers here. Even though this might be not the first place to launch your brand. But now, coming back, another way of what I think they should do in this whole 7 part and 21 part of the rule is to blow up the brand, the brand vision and the brand ethos and the values of the brand and something bigger that they want to achieve. I think NIO has that also with the social community and so on, but for ONVO it's currently maybe a little bit missing. And my idea would be also about battery swapping. I'm possibly making a separate video about that, but I think I've shared it in my Patreon community. There was an interview with a German NIO executive, and I shared that one. I think it was even in the NIO podcast, where they spoke about the prospects of battery swap stations, that they could ultimately provide free energy once they are fully integrated with the grid and active in grid balancing. And therefore, those battery swap stations are making money on a different revenue stream, which could ultimately be forwarded to the user and they could enjoy free electricity. So I know that might be a couple of months and years down the line, and I know that this is more interesting currently in Germany than actually in China, because in Germany there's just a bigger gap between the electricity prices for the bid and the ask. So there's much more arbitrage to be made. But what I want to say is you want to emotionally load the brand up and offer also a bigger value than just a car, and also something that makes this brand unique and also desirable. And what it could be is just put a big slogan there, not only price and battery swappable, but also we will give you free electricity. And that doesn't have to be 100% accurate for now, because in fact they do have to pay for battery swaps, of course, and they do have to pay if they charge the car. However, what they could explain now in the 21 seconds part of the rule is, you saw that sign, we want to provide free electricity over time. And by the way, we're giving you free electricity already now as a starter. If you buy the car, you will get free electricity for maybe lifetime for the first users, or 2 years for just a promotion type of thing. You will still pay for the battery swapping fee, but we will provide the electricity for free to you. So no fee for the actual electricity, which wouldn't be a bad thing for NIO and ONVO, because electricity here in China is actually not that expensive, and they would still be paying for the battery swapping, but it would really blow up the whole theme about battery swapping a little bit more and give it a bigger meaning, and also an additional value and context for potential ONVO buyers. And I think that's more in also the way how Elon Musk usually works. He's putting out those big claims like, our cars, every car that you're buying from Tesla will be at some point fully autonomous. Whether or not we'll really get there at some point, we don't know. They keep on pushing out the dates and such. So I'm not saying NIO should go and lie to people. That's not what I'm suggesting. I'm also not suggesting that Elon Musk is lying. I think he's really sincere about the fact that he wants to achieve that, but it just takes time to get there, right? But it's a noble goal. It's a fair thing to try to do, and I think for NIO the same. Ultimately, they have this potential with battery swap stations that's making them distinct. That if they fully integrated into the grid, if each of those neighborhoods here has their own battery swap stations that are helping to balance supply and demand of electricity, the cut or the service that they are charging from the grid providers by that could be forwarded to the users for free electricity. Now, if they would load it up with something like that, I think it would make for a great slogan that's actually also catching, again, the attention. So it's even paying into the 3 seconds part of the rule, but it also helps for this whole keeping users engaged and giving them a reason to buy the car, to provide additional incentive. And yeah, that's a little bit what I think is currently missing from the NIO stores. Fair enough, I've only visited one right now, but that's just been some of the thoughts I had after thinking a little bit about my experience yesterday. And I need to dive a little bit further, visit more NIO ONVO stores here. But I just got a feeling that, if you got such a good product, people need to learn about it somehow. And it's not easy, especially in this attention-seeking economy. So go different ways. Don't do it like everybody else. Just open a shop in a shopping mall. Just do live streaming. Just do online advertisement. No, surprise people. Occupy some of these empty buildings. Go where the people are, where they live. Have them talk about it. And even if it doesn't work, it's not a big deal, because those places here are possibly so cheap to rent. But as I mentioned, they could achieve a much quicker scale, I think, here. And I don't know if you saw the foot traffic here, but I do think it will get them at least the same eyeballs than in a big shopping mall, and possibly a similar quality of leads. What do you think about my thoughts here? I know it was a bit lengthy. Thanks for sticking with me. And yeah, see you in my next videos.